You're slowly wasting your life, and you already know it. Not in some dramatic, obvious way, but in the quiet decisions you keep justifying every single day, the delay you call timing, the comfort you call balance, the inaction you label as thinking it through. And it feels normal because you've repeated it long enough. You sit down to do something important, something that actually moves your life forward, and within minutes, your attention drifts. Just for a second, just to check something, just to reset your mind. But that second becomes 10 minutes, then 30, then the task quietly disappears from the day, without resistance. And you don't panic. That's the problem. Because real failure doesn't feel like failure anymore, it feels like routine. You tell yourself you're trying, but your actions are structured in a way that guarantees nothing meaningful gets finished. This is not lack of ability, this is not bad luck. This is a pattern. A slow leak that you've learned to ignore. And here's where it gets uncomfortable. You don't break this pattern because part of you benefits from it. Staying here protects you. IT keeps you away from pressure, from judgment, from finding out what actually happens if you go all in. So instead, you stay in motion without progress. Busy enough to feel productive, safe enough to avoid change. And this continues, quietly, every single day. What you're dealing with isn't random, it's structured, predictable, repeatable. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. Because this isn't just lack of discipline. It's a loop, a system running in the background. A system built on 4 internal mechanisms. First, self-deception. You don't lie openly, you adjust the story just enough to stay comfortable. You say, I'll do it later. You say, today was already productive. You say, I just need the right mood. And every time you say that, you remove urgency. This is where most people lose without realizing it. Second, the avoidance loop. You don't avoid everything, you avoid specific things, the ones that matter. The hard conversation, the focused work, the uncomfortable decision. So you replace them with easier actions that look similar, but don't carry the same weight. Answering messages instead of building something, planning instead of executing, consuming instead of producing. It feels like movement. It isn't. Third, emotional negotiation. Every time you sit down to work, a quiet negotiation begins. Do I feel like it? Can I start later? Is this the right time? And without noticing, you give your emotions a vote. That's the mistake. Because emotions are unstable, they change by the hour. And anything that depends on them collapses. Fourth, the discipline failure cycle. You start strong, you feel motivated, you push for a few days. Then resistance shows up. And instead of holding the line, you reset. Again. And again. And again. Not because you can't continue, but because stopping has become familiar. Think about a normal day. You wake up with intention, you planned something meaningful, but by the end of the day, nothing actually moved forward. Not because you were lazy, but because this system quietly redirected your effort. And you allowed it. This is the structure behind the feeling. And it doesn't fix itself. Point 1, you don't avoid work. You avoid exposure. You tell yourself the work is hard, that it takes too much energy, that you're just not in the right state yet. But that's not what you're avoiding. You're avoiding what the work reveals. Because the moment you go all in, fully focused, no distractions, no escape, you remove every excuse. Now it's just you, and the result. No hiding. No story. No delay. And that's uncomfortable. Because if it doesn't work, you can't blame timing, you can't blame circumstances, you can't blame anything outside. It becomes clear. And clarity creates pressure. So instead, you stay in partial effort. Half focused. Half committed. Half present. Enough to say you tried, but not enough to find out the truth. This is where most people lie to themselves. They think they're protecting their time or energy, but they're actually protecting their identity. Because as long as you never fully commit, you never fully fail. And that feels safer. But there's a cost. You never fully succeed either. A man once spent years preparing to launch his business, courses, planning, refining ideas. Always close. Never starting. Not because he lacked knowledge, but because starting would expose whether he was actually capable. And that's what he avoided. Not the work. The answer. Point 2, you mistake movement for progress. You stay active all day, you respond, organize, plan, adjust. And by the end of it, you feel like you did something. But nothing actually moved. That's not an accident. That's substitution. You replace high-resistance actions with low-resistance activity, and because both look like effort, you don't question it. This is where most people get stuck for years. Busy, but unchanged. You clear emails instead of building the thing that matters. You tweak plans instead of executing them. You consume more information instead of applying what you already know. It feels responsible, IT feels productive. But it's controlled avoidance. And this is the part you ignore every day. Because real progress has a different signature. It's slow, it's uncomfortable, it's often invisible at first. There's no instant reward, no immediate validation. Just friction. And most people don't stay there long enough. As Jim Rohn said, don't mistake movement for achievement. That line sounds simple, but if you actually apply it, most of your day gets exposed. A typical scenario. You sit down to work on something meaningful. Within minutes, you shift to something easier, just temporarily. But that temporary shift becomes the entire session. And at the end, you convince yourself, at least I stayed busy. But busy isn't the goal. Progress is. And they are not the same. Point 3, you let your mood decide your future. You don't say it out loud, but you live by it. If I feel right, I'll do it. If I'm not in the mood, I'll wait. If today feels off, I'll reset tomorrow. And just like that, your entire life becomes conditional. Not based on standards, but on how you feel in the moment. This is unstable. Because mood is inconsistent by nature. It changes with sleep, stress, distractions, even small inconveniences, and if your actions depend on something that's unstable, your progress becomes unstable too. This is where the pattern locks in. You start the day with intention, but somewhere in the middle, your energy drops, your focus slips, something feels off. And instead of continuing anyway, you negotiate. You adjust the plan, you delay the task, you tell yourself you'll come back later. But you rarely do. This is the silent agreement you've made. I will only move forward when it feels right. And that agreement guarantees inconsistency. There's a difference most people ignore. Discipline doesn't remove discomfort, IT removes the decision. You don't ask yourself how you feel, you already decided who you are. And this is the part that changes everything. Because once identity leads, emotion becomes irrelevant. Until then, mood stays in control. And as long as mood is in control, progress will always be temporary. Point 4, you reset instead of continuing. You don't actually fail, you interrupt. That's the pattern. You start something, a routine, a plan, a standard, and for a few days, you follow it. Then one day slips. Maybe you're tired, maybe something unexpected comes up, maybe you just don't feel like continuing. And instead of adjusting, you reset. I'll start fresh tomorrow. I'll do it properly next week. I need a clean start. That sounds disciplined. It's not. It's avoidance dressed as control. Because every reset gives you a temporary sense of relief, you escape the discomfort of continuing imperfectly. But you also destroy momentum. This is where most people stay stuck. Not because they can't build discipline, but because they never stay inside the process long enough. They keep returning to the beginning. Again. And again. And every time they restart, it feels like effort. But it's the same effort, repeated in a loop. Nothing compounds. Nothing carries forward. Just cycles. And over time, those cycles become your identity. Not someone who follows through, but someone who almost does. And that difference defines everything. At some point, this stops being about habits. It becomes identity. Not the version of you that you talk about, but the one your actions keep proving. Because every repeated behavior sends a signal. This is who I am. Not once. Not occasionally, but consistently. You delay, you become someone who delays. You avoid, you become someone who avoids. You reset, you become someone who never finishes. And this isn't dramatic. It's quiet. Gradual. Almost invisible. That's why it's dangerous. Because nothing feels broken in the moment. You still function, you still plan, you still believe you'll figure it out. But your standards are lowering, slowly. You start accepting things you once wouldn't tolerate. Incomplete work, missed days, excuses that sound reasonable. And each time you accept it, something shifts internally. Not in your results first, in your self-respect. Because self-respect isn't built on intention. It's built on evidence. On whether you follow through when it's inconvenient, whether you continue when it's uncomfortable, whether you hold the line when no one is watching. And when that evidence is missing, confidence doesn't disappear suddenly. It erodes. Quietly. Until you no longer trust your own word. And once that trust is gone, everything becomes harder. Not because the work changed, but because your relationship with yourself did. So this isn't about doing more. It's about deciding what version of you keeps showing up. Because whatever you repeat, you become. And whatever you become, shapes everything that follows. There's nothing new you need to hear at this point. You already recognize the pattern. You've already seen how it runs your day when you're not paying attention. And that's the real shift. Not motivation, not inspiration, awareness. Because once you see it clearly, it stops being bad luck or low energy. It becomes choice. Not always conscious, but still yours. And that's where responsibility begins. Most people think change comes from intensity, big decisions, sudden discipline, a strong reset. But that rarely lasts. What actually changes a life is quieter than that. It's the decision to stop negotiating with yourself. Stop restarting the same cycle. Stop treating consistency as optional. Nothing dramatic happens in that moment. No emotion spike. No external shift. Just a quiet internal line being drawn. And from there, everything either aligns or exposes itself. Because your life is already reflecting your standards. Not your intentions. Not your potential. Your standards. And those standards are visible in what you tolerate when no one is watching. You don't need a new identity. You need to stop acting like the old one is still acceptable. And then let time do what it always does. Build whatever you consistently allow. That's it.